Ooh,
Hi, everyone.
Hi everyone.
So we're just gonna wait a couple more seconds, just to be sure like everyone is here, and then we'll start the presentation. In the meantime, okay, let's go. So welcome everyone. Thank you for your time today. Let's do first a real quick round of introduction. So I'm Alexandre or Alex Schatzman. Some of you already know me. I'm the pre-sales cloud engineer here at Arrow Switzerland. And so with my co-host Maxime Voix from also from Arrow EMEA this time in France, we'll co-present this webinar. And I would also like to introduce you to my colleague Maike Ebert, who is also in the call today. And she is our business development manager here at Arrow Switzerland. So the goal of today's meeting or webinar, is to go through the Copilot from Microsoft 365, but more as a trainer presentation. So then you can reuse this PowerPoint and information to later on be able to show them to your end customers, and then be able to have the confidence and the comfort to talk about the whole product offering. So the agenda today is about the AI Hype, the Copilot in the browser, what is Microsoft 365 for Copilot, the foundation that you need to have in order to run AI properly, and also how to buy Copilot and ArrowSphere, and some little good surprises, I hope. So, Maxime, please, can you start with the beginning?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Alex. This content is an extract from the Get Copilot Ready SMB briefing. This is a workshop from Microsoft for partner to deliver a session at the end customer level. As you can see here, Microsoft provides a lot of documentation in a big zip. You can download the content with the link on this slide, and you can find in this big zip an email template that you can send to your end customer to generate new leads for your Microsoft Copilot business. As you can see here, Microsoft provides also a step-by-step guide for your demonstration, and you can find also this template and the slides in the zip. On the next slide, we explain how we make the demonstration. And with Copilot, this is a big challenge because Microsoft didn't provide any free trial. And uh, and as you know, as a Copilot is an add-on and it's not free. It's why if you want to create your demonstration, you can set up an environment for your demonstration, isolated from your production, and you can use for this the CDX transform on the Microsoft website. You can create one tenant of 1 year and 5 tenants of 19 days for your demonstration. And after, you can ask Mikey or Alex to buy some CSP license of Copilot. Today, we prefer to use a lot of Microsoft recorded demonstration because, as you know, Microsoft Copilot use your Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365 use your corporate data to show relevant information. It's why it's very risky if you make your demonstration in live. But at the end of the webinar, we need to speak about the security and we need to speak what is the solution that we can provide. But for your demonstration, please be safe and use your demonstration environment, not your corporate environment when you make a demonstration to your end customer.
Thank you, Maxime. And also rest assured, everyone, you will have access to this presentation as well afterwards. So let's jump into it. As you know, the world keeps changing all the time. Every time you turn on the news, there's something new happening. It's getting a lot. And so obviously AI is a big topic every day in our lives. It's a hype. Is it a bubble? Is it something new that will last? No one knows, but it is with us today. And for us, it's important to be there and support you in this journey. And so this is why I would like to present you the next slide where we can see how fast things goes. As you can see, with a mobile phone, it took about 16 years for to reach 100 million users. With ChatGPT, it only took 3 months. It's really impressive to see how fast technology adoption happens. And so this is why um, Copilot is here, and it's really interesting to see the scale of the whole transformation that is happening, but also it's a clash with also how businesses do business, because we know like some organization might take more time than others to adopt a new strategy or technology. However, GPT in general, or AI, generative AI in general, is very fast. So it will be very interesting to see in the next couple of months how both can work together towards the same goal. And so if we go to the next slide. And so as you can see, like from a survey done by Microsoft, most of the employees says they don't have time to do their job properly because they spend most of their time having to communicate through emails, Teams, phone, whatever the medium of communication, which means that only 43% of the time is actually spent for doing the job they are asked to do. And so this is why AI comes in handy, because we can then support the employees towards transferring some tasks to AI and then liberate them to do other tasks, which is tasks with a higher added value. 87% of organization, they think that AI will give them a better competitive edge, in a sense that they will be able to have this more time because of the creativity time freed for the employees. They will be more competitive in order to build or scale up other solutions. Furthermore, AI is, like Maxime said, is relying, or Copilot is relying on your information. This is why it's important to prepare your organization um, for AI, in a sense that AI is a technology, but your data is there. Your strategy must be implemented. The governance must be there as well, and also the education towards the employees. This is why it's a journey that takes time. And even though it looks very fancy at the beginning, we still need to think twice about how to implement the technology. So first, we need to ask a couple of questions, such as, what is the goal of using AI? Is it just for the hype to say I have AI, or is it to fill up a special need? Also, what are the pain points that your organization have that AI can address? Because we all know there's always some friction points in every business flow. And first, the company needs to be aware of them before having AI, because AI will simply just magnify these pain points. That's why it's important to have a clear strategy built at first. And also, how can your organization rely or um, build itself on AI? Because if it's not capable to have AI, does it make sense to buy a license? Probably not. But if your company is able to then scale up its competitive edge thanks to AI, then that's a wonderful achievement. This is why it's important with the strategy to be aware of what AI can do for you. Same as with your data strategy. Is it properly uh, governed or not, or is it properly structured? And also, do you have the right resources in house to have AI, or do you have the right partners of the right solution in place? And so that's why all of these questions must be asked and answered first before thinking to how to implement AI. So first, we'll go through the foundation to have AI running, because without foundation, you cannot have AI running properly. What I mean by foundation is how do you empower employees with AI? In a sense, is it to just give them the license and then you tell them good luck, have fun? Or do you teach them how to use it? Do you give to only the key users in the organization, or do you give it to everyone? And also, how do you approach the user with AI? Because might some feel afraid that AI will replace them. It's a concern that Microsoft has been as underlined in its internal surveys, and so that's why it's important to really communicate as much as possible and be as much as transparent as possible with everyone involved in the project. Furthermore, Copilot is a Microsoft product, hence why you need to have Microsoft 365 in place. What I mean by this is the organization ready with SharePoint? Is the organization properly set up with Teams? Is the organization with Exchange, and so on and so on? That's why it's important to have this full assessment at hand to be sure that if, your end customer is ready for Copilot. And also, is the data properly organized? Such as, is there a governance strategy in place? Is there a true segmentation of information? Or is it a free-for-all where no one really knows what's happening, and which could have devastating effect if AI comes into play? That's why it's important to first question these type of questions, because otherwise it would just be a mess, and then everyone will just think of AI as a hype and not as something that you can build true value out of it. And so first we'll go through the Copilot, which is the Copilot, which is like the web version of Microsoft AI. And so Copilot is based on ChatGPT 4 and DALL-E 3, which are the latest AI models, and it doesn't cost anything for Entra ID users. What is also important to notice is the chat data is not saved. There's no eyes-on access by anyone on the chat, and the chat information is not used by Microsoft at all. So this is a pure protected information and chat and information given. This is why it's important to make sure that it says it's protected. Otherwise, if we just use, for example, the Copilot for free, for example, then the information is not secured for your environment. So that's just something to be aware of. And also, it is transparent and current. What they mean by this is like every information given is verified. You have sources you can verify from, and the sources are from respected information. So, for example, you cannot have sources from Reddit, for example, or X. It will always come from sources that have been proven to be reliable. However, what is really important in all of this is what the pilot can do. So with this paid Copilot, what you can do is, for example, you can summarize a PDF. I'm sure you all went through this feeling of downloading a PDF on the internet, and then you realize it's like 100 pages long, and then you need to read it, but you only have 5 minutes to read it because, as always, time is running short. So what do? Then you can ask here Copilot to go through the text and then make you a bullet point, for example, of this long PDF. You can also ask Copilot to teach you new skills in a way like it can show you only the important information about the new skill, or it can teach you how to explain this information. It can also give you answers for questions or draft you or compose some information such as emails or Word documents and so on. This is all based on the web version. And then you can also have Copilot for Microsoft 365, which will come into it a bit later, where it really embedded in the Office suite. So you need to be aware that it is two different products. And so this one is purely on the web, and you can already see it on your Microsoft Edge browser. However, just be aware again, if you don't have paid any licenses yet, this Copilot on the web is the free version, which means the information is not secure. And so now let's go into the Microsoft 365. And so again, it's important to have sensitive data, because otherwise to have your data being properly secured, because otherwise it would be a mess. So now I will talk to you about the technicality behind Copilot. And first, it's really important to understand what is Microsoft Graph. And for this, I will use a special example, which is a fondue, because it's the season, it's good, and I hope everyone likes fondue. And so by this, I will like explain you a bit more with this fondue example, how it works. So let's say you have this idea of having a fondue after you went skiing. You know, you have this image in your head. You're like, have this fondue because I had a good day at the mountain, and so you picture this fondue, and that is the information you would like to have at the end of the day. And so for this, you're like, okay, but first to have a fondue, I need to have, for example, a list of groceries. I need to have a recipe. And that is your prompt. Your prompt would be, what ingredients do I need for my fondue? How do I do the fondue? And then, and so then Copilot here or AI will dissipate the prompt and say, okay, he wants to know, or they want to know the ingredients. They want to know how to do it. And so, for example, for the ingredient list, it will say, okay, you need to buy half Gruyere, half Vacherin, your schnapps, your Mais, Stärke, and so on and so on. And so it knows what you need to have. And then the graph is basically like the basket. Microsoft Graph is like your basket at the supermarket. In a sense, like it will take information or data from different pieces, such as, for example, your team messages, your meetings, the chat, and so on and so on. And so that's where it's important to be sure your data is properly segmented and secured, because otherwise it would just go for any information given, archive, um, confidential information, and so on and so on. And to go back to my fondue example, the Microsoft Graph or your basket here, which just doesn't know which cheese you want to buy, or which wine you want to have. And so because it doesn't know, it would just buy everything in the store. And so I don't think I'm not so sure like everyone wants to buy the whole supermarket just to be sure you would have the right ingredients at the end for your fondue. You only want to buy just the ingredients you need to do your fondue. And so here it's the same with segmenting information and making sure everything is properly secure, and also like the user only have access to what information they should have access to. And so at the end, you have your basket with the right segmentation. So in your basket, you have your ingredients, and then it will process all of this data or information or ingredients, and then will come back with a fondue as you expect it to be. And so in a nutshell, this Microsoft Graph is just a way to have all different information all at once. And then you will just like mix and match all this information to build out a solution that that it thinks you expect it to have. If you want, in future, we plan to do a more deep dive technical session on Copilot. So let us know if you're interested in it, and then we'll for sure go more into details, and maybe not just like in details in terms of fondue, but more like in IT words. Or we can always do a fondue around Copilot if you want to. We're open for anything. And so now, what is Copilot for Microsoft 365? Because it's nice to have a web version, but at the end, what we want is to be able to use it in our day-to-day life. And so this information is based on LLM models, so large language model, on your graph, like just discussed, on your 365 apps information and data from the internet. Again, same as with the basket of the supermarket, it will take information from everywhere. And so it's important to be sure the information is properly secured at first. And so Microsoft really underlines the importance to say their AI model is secure, compliant, private, and responsible, in a sense that it's secure because it's only information that you give first access to. It's compliant because you will respect whatever rules and policy you have put in place for your tenant organization. It's private because only the user can see the information, and it's responsible because it will not be biased by any form of any external forces. And so this is really important because not every AI solution is like this. And so that's why Copilot from Microsoft 365 is so important because it really makes sure that you respect your company information. And so it will never be out of reach compared to what rules and policy you have set in place for the tenant. That is really important. And I think it's an important message you can communicate to your end customers because they want to be sure like their information won't be then seen into the World Wide Web. And so, as I said, it's embedded in the 365 apps such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and Teams, which is everyone loves them or hate them or maybe both. It's but we have to use them anyway all the time. So it's really interesting to have them embedded in it because it's the best way I think to really leverage the AI performance and the AI capabilities of it. And so now let's see first a short video of what Copilot can do in Teams, and then let's go forward afterwards. And so as you see, I think for me the best feature of Copilot in Teams is, you know, I'm sure you all went through this. Like you run into a meeting late on Teams, and you're like, oh, I wish I would have information at hand to know what we talked about and like what have been the open topics. And so then you can just get into the chat, the meeting, ask Copilot, like, can you do me a recap? And then would do you like a clear recap, like seen on the video of what happened already while you were gone. And so I think that's really interesting for when your time is always a bit short. And also at the end, what is really good is you can ask a pilot, for example, to ask for a to-do list of the meeting, because there's chat, it goes back and forth to everyone, but sometimes you don't really have a clear understanding of what has to be done afterwards. And so that's where we lose so much time in communication, because we're like, what was the intent of the meeting? And then you go back to the members of the meeting, and you spend time to ask them and understand, have everything connected between one another. And so that's why Copilot comes handy, because you can just ask Copilot, okay, give me a recap, give me a to-do list, and then you can just work out of it. And so yeah, here's a quick view of what Copilot and Teams can do. So like I said, you can use prompts such as do me a recap, do me a to-do list. You can also standardize the meeting, such as doing meeting notes, doing a meeting agenda, and also you can go back to the Copilot of a meeting afterwards. Like you can ask again Copilot, um, who said what and who are they? And so that's interesting, because sometimes you get caught into a meeting and then you jump into the next one, but then you have to work back to the previous meeting, and you don't have all the right information in your head, because so much information goes through your head all the time. And so that's why Copilot is here to be like, hey, take a step back. I'm here for you. I will help you. And here's information you're asking for. And now let's see another video, but not for Teams, but for Outlook. It's also a good one. Isn't it good? I use this feature all the time. Like in Outlook, when you're all of a sudden you get forwarded a long chain of emails, and you're just like, I don't have the time to go through all of it. So just ask Copilot, do me a summary of what's happening, do me a summary of what I have to do. And then it saves you a lot of time. It's really great. And also it's great for replying to emails or drafting new emails, because also, like, for us technical people, sometimes we have, again, our vision and ideas, but sometimes can be we can fall short on communicating the intent of our thoughts. And so then Copilot can help you say, okay, here's the elements I want to cover. Please draft me an email, and then it will make sure the email is easily understandable, which is can be handy. And also good for Switzerland. It can translate your email in many languages, and it's really good. The quality of the translation is almost as good as a human. So it's really wonderful when you have to deal with many different languages in the same place. And so now let's cover what the pilot can do in Word. Yeah, it's also, I think, very practical for when you're drafting RFP, for example, because you cover many different stakeholders and you need to explain the intent of a project, the cost behind it, the budget, and so on. And so it's really interesting to be able to draft a neat proposal. And then in Excel, it's also pretty fun because you can really ask so many things to Copilot in Excel, and it's just wonderful, I think. As you see, it can save you so much time and effort. And so this is why Microsoft, after internal surveys and analysis, they estimated that with Copilot used properly and well, can save a user about 30 minutes per day of their time just by supporting the user of all these tasks of analysis and building new documents and so on. So that's really, I think, where it shines because you can really go much into more details. You can ask Copilot to draft you analysis reports or draft you new Excel files or PowerPoints, and it just saves you so much time because, as you can see, the prompt is processed so fast that you don't need to wait long. So that's wonderful, I think. And so this comes very handy for training the users how to use Copilot, because even though you can use natural languages, you still need to adopt or adapt your language to Copilot as much as possible to make sure it can understand your prompt easily and properly, and then be sure it can deliver what you expect. And finally, let's go through the data security because this is also something very important to deal with, like I mentioned earlier. And so let's see how Copilot can deal with the security. So as you can see, it's so important to have your foundation ready for Copilot. Otherwise, you cannot make sure that your data is properly separated by the users. And then quickly, again, Microsoft AI principle relies on fairness, safety, privacy, inclusiveness, and being responsible by not being biased. And so now let's go closer to us and let's see how you can get Copilot in ArrowSphere. Maxim, if you want to jump in here.
Yeah, sure. So good news, Copilot is available in ArrowSphere since the 16th January. But as you can see here, we have only today a one term, 1 year term and one billing term. We didn't have the monthly because it don't exist today. But the good news, this is an add-on and we have no minimum quantity now. Previously, this Copilot license was not available with this minimum quantity. Today, it's possible to buy just one to make your test in your environment and in your company. As an add-on, you need to have a licensing prerequisite, and you can see here the list of licenses that you can attach the Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365. And I'm very happy to announce that tomorrow, the 1st March, this license will be available in education. You can find the announcement just in these slides.
Yeah, and it will be for A5, A3, for Microsoft 365 and Office 365 for education. So that's really just new. Then we won't stop much into the FAQ, but you would have them anyway with the presentation. But here's just the usual question we got so far, and so we just compiled them into a couple of slides. And so that's the one we created. And Microsoft also did their own FAQ on their website, which you can access here on this link, or just wait for a copy of the presentation. And the good news is that, or the goodie bag is that you have 10% off from today and for the next until the end of March on any Microsoft Copilot licenses, but on ArrowSphere, but just for you as a partner internal use. And so I think it's pretty good to have this kickoff discount because it can help you adopt Copilot, learning for yourself, and use it for your own company, organization, and then really be able to discuss about it with your end customers at the end. As a reminder, this is just for a partner internal use and not for your end customers' prices. And so for the discount, please reach out to my colleague Mike or myself, and then we'll be happy to explain you all the conditions to have it.
To enable your end customer with Microsoft Copilot for Microsoft 365, Microsoft provides a free assessment, and with Arrow, we can nominate your end customer with your help. What is it? Microsoft pay some people inside the Microsoft team, the SMB assessment desk, to provide for Microsoft SMB customer an access to light touch Copilot readiness. He uses a software blocked 64, and this software provide the right insight for the customer decision maker and partners with a lot of data, insight, and recommendation to support the migration to the Microsoft Cloud Services. And we have one free assessment for Copilot. For information, it exists also for other topics like migration of Windows Server to Microsoft Azure. Microsoft partner can use this service to provide their customer a quick Copilot readiness assessment, and it's free for you. It's very important. It's Microsoft and Arrow who nominate your end customer, but it's free. And Microsoft provide to you a lot of insights. As you can see here, the nomination criteria are very small. It's only it's different if you want the Zero Trust Foundation or just Copilot. For Copilot, as you see here, very small company are eligible. And Mikey and Alex can nominate for you your end customer, and and you sign an agreement with Microsoft and Arrow about this free assessment. On the next slide, I show a sample of the insight that Microsoft provide. And here this is the summary, but as you understand, we have a lot of other view. And here we can see if our end customer respects the security and if the customer is ready for the licensing, because if your end customer have not the prerequisite for the licensing, it can be a blocker for the project. And he provides also a lot of optimization um, information to success the deployment of Microsoft Copilot. And as you can see on the top of this slide, Microsoft provide a lot of a timeline with a lot of action that your end customer can make to improve the deployment. And it's free, and you as a partner, you are involved to nominate your end customer and to provide the license to your end customer. And after, you have a lot of work with your end customer to provide trainings, to provide implementation of security features, to provide upgrade of existing license, for example, Office 365 E3 to E5, for example, or to Microsoft 365. You this workshop, this sorry, um, this
Assessment.
assessment is a right tool to make some update and some upsell in at the customer level.
And as
And
you can
it's
see in this example, end customer here is not Copilot ready. It's also a good and easy way to quickly assess if your end customer is ready as of now for Copilot.
And about the trainings, if you want to go further, we have two trainings. The first is for the sales people. Microsoft provide on this link, CSP Copilot Sales Track, a lot of quick video with a lot of subject. For example, if you would like to go more deeper for building a Copilot service practice, you can look this video. If you have deployed Microsoft 365 Lighthouse to manage your end customer, you can learn how to use the Microsoft 365 Insight to identify the customer who are a good candidate for Microsoft Copilot. All of this information are on these on-demand courses. And we have the same for the on the next slide for the technical track with a lot of technical content. And for example, if you would like to go more deeper on the security, privacy, and data protection, you have a short course about this topic. And as you can see here, we have a lot of information. It's why in the next slide, Microsoft provide a complete course for pre-sales and technical people from our partner on 3 days. Alors, it's 3 morning. This event is in English, but you have the live caption in your language. And in this deeper technical bootcamp, you can find a lot of information about the implementation and the management of Copilot for your end customer. This is free courses, and if you would like to create your services about Copilot, I recommend to you to register to these courses in March of this year.
Wonderful. Thank you, Maxim. And
And
so,
just a last
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
if you come back, as you can
sure.
see, we have a lot of illustration in this slide deck. And all of these illustrations are generated with DALI. DALI is the AI motor
Engine. Yeah.
engine of used by Bing Chat Enterprise, now Microsoft Copilot, that you can use if you have Microsoft Entra ID license in your company.
And so this concludes our today's webinar. And so if you have any questions, please feel free to open your mic and ask a question, or just you can just write to Mike, Maxime, or myself, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. And if you don't, then I wish you a very good day, and thank you so much for your time today. So we stay open here for a couple of more minutes, and if you have questions, just don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.